Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, so today I've got a question from a friend of mine, TR. He asks, in Moodle, I often go and have a look at the profile and things like that and see my name, and then I change the language to something else, and my name still appears as English letters. Wouldn't it be cool for my Japanese students if I could have my name change into Japanese script and show their kanji when the the language changes? And he said, you can't do that in Moodle. I was like, yeah, you can. He's like, no, you can't. And I was like, can too. Nah, yaha, nah, yaha. And so I figured I'd do a video and actually show how that's done, because it is a little bit tricky, but once it's set up, actually it becomes really simple, because all you have to do is populate the alternate name field later. So let's get started with this one. And I got that little text thing. I've already made the text thing here. International names in Moodle. That's what we're talking about today. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is have ourselves a Moodle, and we want to have ourselves a Moodle with a language pack installed. So this is my freshly installed Moodle. I've got it right here. Here's my profile, and you can see it just says Leeroy Jenkins. And if you don't know what that's all about, seriously, Google Leeroy Jenkins. YouTube link will probably pop up. Watch it. You'll enjoy it. Might even leave a link in the video description below. It's silly. But anyway, here you can see that it only appears in English. And of course, I don't even have a language pack installed on this Noodle. It's a fresh install. So let's go and grab ourselves a language pack first. So to grab a language pack and teach Moodle how to use Japanese, we're going to go down here to the language section in general under the site administration. And we're going to go and get these language packs. And installing a language pack is actually pretty easy, although this fresh install server doesn't actually have the locales all completely added. Yeah, no, not really care. What happens here is, for example, things like the calendar will display better if you do have the locales and things like that in there. So that's something you might want to consider. But anyway, here we're going to install Japanese. I mean, why Japanese? Well, why not? It's like a second language to me. So I'm just going to select Japanese there and say install language packs. And waiting a few seconds. We're waiting. And now my Moodle knows how to speak Japanese. That was easy enough, wasn't it? Let's test it out, shall we? So we go up to the profile menu up here, and now we've got this additional language thing here, and I can switch it over to Japanese. And when I do that, whoa, that's cool. And it's also saying in Japanese that I don't have the Japanese language pack installed on the server. Now, this is actually a server thing. I might do a separate video on that later. But anyway, if you do see this message, it is a good idea to go in and make sure that you add these locales, usually using dpkg dpackage reconfigure locales, and that'll get it in there. And after that, you've got to restart the web server and the PHP and stuff like that. But it's easy enough to do. Anyway, you might also notice this went to JL. So if I look at my profile now, you can see instead of Leeroy Jenkins, it's now Jenkins Leeroy. Well, that's backwards. Okay, so let's figure out what's going on here. Let's switch it back to English. Leeroy Jenkins. And it's still the same letters. I don't have any Japanese in there yet. But before we do that, let's edit the profile and add a Japanese script name. Now, in the profile settings on Moodle, you actually have this additional names settings here, and you can add phonetic transcriptions, for example, for the first name, last name. And you can also add a middle name, or names, of course, as the case may be. And you can also add an alternate name. So the alternate name is what we're going to do here, and I'm going to add Leeroy Jenkins in Japanese katakana script. So, Dido O-I. All right, I'm going to lengthen the O, of course, because it's Leeroy. Wait a minute. All right, come on. Let's get that all in katakana. Nice. Leeroy. I might put a little dot in the middle. Jenkins. All right. Leeroy Jenkins. All right, that's what that says. It's in Japanese. Trust me, if you don't read Japanese, that's what it says. It says Leeroy Jenkins. All right, and I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to update my profile. Now my profile is updated. Great. So now I switch it over to Japanese, and I should see Leeroy Jenkins. No. It's still in English, because we have to actually change how the full name is displayed in Moodle. And so how do we do that? Well, there are actually two different ways that we can do it. If I come into the users and go to the user, inside the permissions, go to user policies. Why is it there? I don't know. But in here, there's actually a field here called full name format and alternative full name format. Now, these are used slightly differently, but basically you'll probably want to change both of them at the same time. And you can see, it says right here, full name format, full name display, language. Language? What the heck? That's not what it says. It doesn't say language Jenkins. It says Leeroy Jenkins. So anyway, what we can do here though is use these sorts of, you know, first name, first name phonetic, last name phonetic, middle name, and alternate name in there, and we can say replace this with alternate name here. And there we go. We have changed. Now this has changed to D. If I go and look at my profile, Leeroy Jenkins. Okay, that's changed to Japanese. But hey, we're still in English. What gives? Dude, you said that you could change this. And it's... Don't panic. We're getting there. All right. So, we now know that what we can do is we can change the language, and that's not going to change anything. Right? Change it back to English. It's still not going to change anything. Still saying in the Japanese, Leeroy Jenkins. So that's not what we want. What we actually want and is to actually have this display the Japanese when I'm in Japanese and the English when I'm in English. So how do we get that to do? Well, that's what the original here was saying language. And in here too, language. Now, what that actually means is it's going to look at the language pack and find out what the string should display here when the language is selected to this language, etc. So it's going to ask the language pack if you have it set as a language. So there's a string called full name display here in the language pack. Now, we're going to need to edit the language pack for English and the language pack for Japanese. And we're going to put what it should display as, how it should display when it's in each of those languages. So let's do this. I'm going to copy this to the clipboard because it might be useful. And I'm going to save these changes. Great. So now I'm back to LJ, Leeroy Jenkins. Yeah. So let's go edit some language packs. We go into site administration. And inside here, we have language. And we have our language packs where we installed the language packs just before. But just above that is language customization. This allows you to edit what strings appear in your Moodle. And actually, there are so many strings that you can actually edit. Add a new plugin, it's going to have its own strings, and you can customize them to your own likes and needs. If you don't like what Moodle calls something, you can change what it's called, because all the language is supplied in strings. So let's go first of all into English, and we'll open this page language pack for editing. There it is. Now, what we're looking for is actually in Moodle PHP, so it's in Moodle core. So it's a core Moodle feature. First name, last name, you know, alternate name, that's all core Moodle. So it's going to be in there. And here we have a string identifier area here. Now we're going to paste that there. Full name display. And that's going to select the string that we need here. Now, the standard text is this, blah, 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 blah. And we've actually got these right here. So I'm going to just copy that, and I'm going to paste it in there. Right? And I haven't actually changed anything. I've just copied and pasted it. But what this is telling Moodle to do is we're using the placeholders here. And they've got like an A or an A to something. Now, in this time, we're looking at users. So it's the user's first name and the user's last name with, I guess there's a space in between them. Yep, there's a space there. And that's what we're going to use here, right? So I'm actually going to copy that to the clipboard again. I think I already had it anyway. But if I save changes to the language pack, then I'm done for English. Right? So now English, and you see, nothing has changed. If I come back here, go to my profile, Leeroy Jenkins, still nothing's changed, right? But that's because we're in English. What happens when I switch to Japanese? Still nothing has changed because I haven't... Well, oh, sorry. This is still going back to Jenkins Leeroy because that last name, first name is how it's set in the Japanese language pack by default. So let's go and edit that language pack. I'll put it back in English while we're editing. We're going to go back in, site administration, go to the language customization, and this time we're going to edit the Japanese language pack. I'm going to open up this language pack for editing. Takes a few seconds. Doop, 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 doop. Doobie doobie doop, doobie doop, 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 doop. And then we can continue. And now we're, hey, it's already got the string identifier and everything in there. So we've got Moodle PHP, string full name display. And here you can see that the standard text is this last name to first name. This is the default setting without it being changed, without it customized. And so this is a customization from another language pack. If I put that in there, that looks great. But that's not what we want. That's not what we want, because we don't want first name, last name. What we want is, in Japanese, we want that alternate name to apply. So alternate name. Oh, name. Okay, alternate name. So now when the Japanese language is selected, alternate name should apply. Okay, so if I save changes to that language pack, boom, boom, boom. All right, now let's go and have a look at that profile. There it is, Leeroy Jenkins. But what happens if I change the language to Japanese? Leeroy Jenkins. All right, so that's the Japanese version of the name. And so that has changed as well. Now, a couple of little things that I'm going to mention. I did say that I was bringing back the duck. Well, quackity quack, I can hear the duck coming. Whew, here we go. The Rubber Ducky's wingtip of the day, quack quack, is to use English language letters, in English alphabet letters, in the first name and last name fields. And the reason is because if you go to any place like browse list of users or something like that, not browse list of users, I need a course, don't I? Okay, let me go. Oh, I don't have a course. I need a course. Let me create a new course. Okay. Quack. Quack. All right, I got a quacky course now. Right, gonna say, yeah, started in 2001. That was a while back. Okay, save and display. Here we go. Okay, fine. Skip tour. Go away. All right, now inside here, you can see that I've got these first name letters that I can search by. And if I click on the L, Leeroy Jenkins appears. If I click on the J, Leeroy Jenkins still appears. Well, these can only really be used if you have the first name and last name fields populated in English. Moodle, I think you can do better on this. But anyway, for now, this is how these work. You need to have them in the first name, last name like that. It would be nice to see actually hiragana or katakana, and based on which language you're in, instead of the Anglo-centric having this in. But what I can still do is I can still change even on this page, I can change the language over, and you can see that my name, full name there, is displaying as Leeroy Jenkins, and I can still use these. Oh, sorry, you can't see that because Rubber Ducky, you're in the way. Quack, quack, go away, Rubber Duck. Boo, goodbye. Okay, sorry. Leeroy Jenkins. I can still search for my name. If I go to the K, there is nothing there. And if I go to the L, it appears in Japanese. If I change that language back to English again, boom, you can see the name is appearing in English. So in order to get the name to appear in English, you can do that. But if you use the English letters for the first name, last name fields in Moodle, then the first name, last name fields will allow you to search using these alphabet letter things here. And you can always go to all and just search through there like that. But it's nicer if you don't have to. If I change the language, by the way, to Japanese, you can see that I've got this betsume is here, which means, alternate name. And I can actually sort by this, but sorting in languages other than English doesn't tend to do it properly. It might actually do it okay in katakana, but it tends not to work so well. So Roman letters, English letters for the other stuff is the way to go for sorting, making sorting actually work really well. Another thing that if there's any Moodle developers or, okay, I understand. If there's any Moodle developers out there who are actually watching and would like a good weekend project, Well, in user policies, for example, and in these areas, the placeholders are like first name, last name, phonetic, first name phonetic, last name phonetic, and an alternate name. But I've seen applications where actually having the country would be awesome there. And also there are other places where they like to, when they have the full name displayed, for example, alternate full name displayed, being able to display the ID number, that would be fantastic as well. So in particular, country and ID number. At the moment, if you put in ID number in here, it won't work. If you put in country, it doesn't work. Right? Trust me, I've tried because, yeah, it doesn't work. You can still see the country and lists and things like that, but the application that I've seen is actually in the International Virtual Exchange project, where we want to have, say, the first name and then the country that they're from in parentheses. And the only way to actually do that at the moment is to shove the alternate name inside of here and populate alternate name with the name of the country. That's a hack. And it's not the best, but hey, it kind of works in, I mean, no one else is really using the alternate name field, so that's why we're borrowing that. But it would be nice to actually be able to do it properly using Moodle's country names, and that way, you know, when the country name would be translated automatically and everything, it would just be so much nicer. ID number, useful for people who are using ID numbers to track their students, more so than names and things like that. I've seen that requested. I don't particularly want to do that myself. But anyway, because there are other ways of making sure that the ID number appears in other lists, and for example in the grade book and stuff like that as well, you can have the ID number display there, which I tend to think is useful enough, but that could just be me. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you've seen all the way down here, remember, like and subscribe. If you want more of the duck, definitely give me a full-on subscribe and notifications and things like that. And maybe give us a comment and just say, hey, the duck is awesome. Bring on more of the duck. And I will do that. Actually, for the next week or so, I'll probably be traveling a little bit. So I probably won't be able to get videos out so regularly. But I'll be back soon, and so will the duck. Okay. Thank you very much, and smash that subscribe button and do all those other good things, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.